Yeah. So just you were cutting in and out on us, and we heard about every third word here. So let's go ahead and start the interview completely over. So Wyatt, let's go ahead and answer that question or ask the question again, so Trey can
Yes.
give us a answer, and we're all on the same page again here.
Yes. So basically, I was just asking, what is your reaction to the whole situation of, players getting paid for their name, image, and likeness, which they should have been years and years and years ago, but that's beside the point. What is your initial reaction to the whole situation?
Yeah, well, like you said, it's been a long time coming. For this to happen, like you said, athletes bring in so much money for the universities, and to finally be able to let athletes kind of benefit from that is a really important and needed thing. Um, Personally, I try to keep everything close. I'm not on social media a lot. I'm not usually not branding myself, but talking with some of the guys on our team, and I know the Purdue coaching staff is, we sat down and we talked about, how are we going to brand you guys? How are we going to brand each kind of athlete to, benefit us as much as possible. So, as a guy on our team that's doing Cameo, um, so I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but there's other college athletes that are doing Yoke now. I think it's like a gaming service. So, um, athletes are finding ways to where people can or where they can make money, and I think it's a really good thing.
Yeah. So just you mentioned Cameo, here's my question. If you were to get a Cameo, okay, and these people had already paid the money, everything's all good, ready to go. And a Cameo, for anybody out there who's listening who doesn't know what that is, it's basically a service where famous people or people with a lot of followers, you can pay them whatever money amount it is, and they can say whatever message you type them to say. So you at Purdue, the IU Purdue rivalry is huge. It's one of the biggest rivalries in the nation. So what do you do if somebody gets you on there and they're like, hey, you got to say go Hoosiers or something like that? What do you do in that situation?
Well, I think you sign up for Cameo. So I personally probably won't, like I said, just because I like to, I'm big into just kind of doing my job, playing basketball, and that's what I like to do. And for me personally, it's hard to go on the social media, but talking with other guys on our team, I don't know how that system's going to work, and if somebody offers you, $80 to say go Hoosiers, like, there's some people on your team that's like, will they take it? I don't know. It's kind of tempting, but at the same time, I think I think down here, especially, Purdue, just how big the rivalry is, that's not going to happen.
Right. So I brought it up to Kobe in the previous interview, and I wanted to bring it up to you. I crunched together the numbers. The average in 2015, just 6 short years ago, the average Division One college brought in 9.15 billion with a B dollars off of the revenue from sports, and players were received zero of that, not a penny. So the problem that I had, and this is what I brought up to Kobe, was how can you realistically look at those numbers? And I know a lot of people like to argue, oh, well, their payment is their free education, all this stuff, but it's not. Athletes bring a lot of money into the colleges, but I don't understand how you can realistically look at those numbers, 9.15 billion with a B dollars, and genuinely think to yourself that these athletes don't deserve a penny of that. It's incredibly unfair. And, you've in a sense lucked out, Trey, because you're like the first class, because you're a freshman, you're the first essential class that gets to benefit from these things. So, it's a really cool experience that you get to be a part of this. And, I was just wondering, do you think that there will be players that come back to their previous university and be like, hey, look, I brought you all this money. I think I deserve some of it now. Do you think that some of the universities or the NCAA will have issues with that?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question. I think I read someone, maybe it was Reggie Bush, something how he lost his
Yeah.
Heisman trophy. So, I think some of those like talks and discussions are already being brought up. Like you said, I mean, I know growing up, my mom always told me like being a college athlete is the only time like somebody can, kind of wear your name on, the back of their shirt and you not get paid for it, kind of, they can use all your name and likeness and you're not going to get paid for it. So
Right.
it's interesting that, like you said, it's, I'm kind of part of the first generation of players that are actually going to get paid for that. So I don't know. I mean, that's a really good question. I don't know the answer. I think it's kind of new to everybody. It's kind of like the, whole, being recruited during COVID thing. It's new, so you kind of just got to figure it out.
So, Trey, with what's going on with the NCAA and then finally making this announcement, which was long overdue, and also the announcement that we got earlier in the year that NCAA is going to EA Sports is going to be bringing back the NCAA sports franchise. How cool is it going to be for yourself when they launch the new NCAA basketball game in 2023 and you're in it? Is that going to be the first thing you do, is just pick out and play the game and pick Purdue and play as yourself? Or
you still there? You kind of cut out there.
Yeah, I was just saying, is the first thing you're going to do is going to play for yourself and play Purdue on the new game? Or are you going to pick somebody else and see if you could beat yourself on that game?
Oh, I mean, for sure. I mean, it's kind of like, obviously my goal is to get to the next level and play in the NBA. So I assume when I play 2K, it's going to be the same, ordeal. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to do both. Obviously I don't know if you're going to be able to customize your player, but, put your player at 99 overall and just dominate, but also try to pick another team and, also try to pick another team and beat yourself. So it's going to be really fun either way.
Well, then that's my
so that's going to be exciting.
That's my next question then, because if you can create your own player and you can customize your own player, would you create? Wyatt's been talking about how he wants to play as Trey Kaufman and beat Trey Kaufman. Would you create a Wyatt Williams character and play as a Wyatt Williams while he plays as you?
I can't create. I mean, that would break the game. Really, I mean, Wyatt Williams, he's such a hooper that that you can't put Wyatt Williams in the game. It's unfair.
How would you recreate the hair?
I don't know, Matt. We're gonna have to do a face scan or something. Like that hairdo's not gonna be in the game. I'll tell you that.
Well, let me ask you this: what NBA player, current or past, would the hair kind of like mimic Wyatt a little bit? Like is it going to be like a Steve Nash type of hairstyle, or
there you go, kind of a Steve Nash. I can see that.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be one of those things where like Wyatt's gonna have his signature hairdo. It's gonna be like James Harden with the beard. Dr. J with the afro. It's gonna be Wyatt Williams' hairdo.
So let's be serious here. So when you get in the game, what kind of rankings is Trey going to have? Like, from shooting to steals to block shocking to like all that stuff. Like, what are your realistic stats you think should be on there?
Oh, I mean, I assume 99 everything.
There you go.
I mean, until proven otherwise. I mean, I think that's only fair. I don't know. I mean, it's the same thing with 2K. I mean, they kind of interview the rookies and ask what their what they think their rating's going to be. I don't know. But I remember one year, I think I don't know who it was. Maybe Clint Capella said that he wanted to get better just so he could upgrade his 2K rating. So,
now, how much stock will you put into your rating once it comes out? If they don't rate you as high as you think you should be rated, is that something you're going to be like, oh, man, come on, you're going to feel disrespected? Or is that something you're just like, yeah, whatever, it is what it is. I'm still going to just go out and play my game?
No, I don't really. I mean, it's the same. To me, it's the same thing as like, different media sources saying that, you're this or you're that. I kind of have my own kind of self-confidence and thoughts about my game and improving. And like you said, you can always change your rating by yourself. So that's definitely what I'm going to do.
This is why I like you. You're the most humblest kid ever. Sorry, Wyatt. But Trey, this is the real question here. So I was in the Silver Creek locker room here, and I saw a list of basketball players written on the pole here, and I see Trey's name, and you have one hash mark next to the charge thing there. What is up with that? Only one charge last year?
So it's one of those things where, especially in Southern Indiana, like if you have a guy that's 5'7", maybe 100 pounds, and he's running into a 6'9", 225 guy, like you're not going to get a charge. You're just not. And so I just knew I wasn't going to get that call. So for me, I was just going to stand straight up and hopefully they don't call block.
So what you're saying is the refs were player hating, huh?
They might have been a little bit. I'm not gonna throw out any allegations here, but do I think some refs were Indiana fans and we're a little bit mad at Purdue? Yeah.
There you go. You heard it here
Well,
first.
Trey, I can tell you, and I've told you this story before. I don't know if I've ever told it on air, but I remember the week that you were committing and I was hosting your commitment. I remember that a local bar said that if you committed to IU, they were going to give out free beers and all this stuff. And I cannot tell you how many people came up to me and tried so hard to pry it out of me that, they were like, hey, I need to know if I'm getting free beer or not. Because if you went to IU, they got the free beer. If you didn't, then they went up and showed up to the bar for nothing. I cannot tell you how many people came to me and were like, hey, what? Am I getting free beer or am I not? I'm telling you, man, they were ate up with it. But
I was one of those
of course,
people.
we do know you chose Purdue. You're up there in West Lafayette right now. And you guys are currently preseason ranking at number 3 in the nation. So is there, and you are no stranger, Trey, to being rated high preseason. I mean, your last 2 or 3 years of high school ball, you guys started out as number 1 or number 2, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
So
that's what they told me at least.
Right. So what is your, initial reaction? Is there a target on your guys' back? Is there, are there, extra things you guys have to do, whatever that may be, but is there like a target on your back or some kind of a situation like that with you guys starting out ranked at number 3?
Well, my initial reaction is why we aren't rated number 1. But
I love it.
I mean, other than that,
You guys got beat in the first round like last year. That's why. You shouldn't be in the top 25.
This is true. But obviously with the
Hey,
it's true.
where was K-State last year in the tournament?
Why don't I'll let
Kansas made it.
I'll let you handle that, okay? I'll let you handle that argument. But no, like you're saying, I mean the Purdue Indiana rivalry. I mean that's huge. I remember one of my first kind of training days. I went in and obviously you take your clothes from home, right? Purdue's giving me a lot of like clothes and stuff to wear, but I think I wore red shorts in once to a training session. And every individual player and coach walked up to me separately and got on me about wearing red shorts in the training room. So, kind of having that, culture and bond, like, this is Purdue basketball. It's serious, and I'm just happy to be a part of like such a good culture with a great group of guys.
So when the season starts, Trey, is Trey Kaufman starting for the Purdue Boilermakers?
I have no idea. Like I said, obviously I have confidence in myself and, my abilities, but like you said, we have some really good basketball players. So, it's going to be whatever. My job is to come in and help the team win no matter what that is.
Well, Trey, I know you're a big NBA guy, and this is a question I asked Kobe earlier, but I wanted to toss to you as well. What do you think, because we've seen a ton of it, what do you think is causing all of these injuries? Because, I mean, we're literally watching. I got behind the screen here. I've got the Eastern Conference Finals on between Atlanta and Milwaukee. The 2-star players, Giannis Antetokounmpo, of course, and Trae Young for Atlanta, both of them are out. And we've been no stranger to that. We've seen CP3 out. We've seen, Anthony Davis, a ton of great players out. What do you think has caused so many injuries in this postseason?
I mean, the biggest thing is what LeBron's talking about, just to kind of return to sport, the quick off season. I mean, that's something kind of all the PTs and all the experts were saying, not to do. And the fact that, the NBA went ahead and did that was, it's kind of scary. And you've seen kind of the results from that. Obviously, there's some injuries you can't prevent. Even Giannis the other day, like stepping on somebody else when he landed, kind of contact injuries like that. It's kind of hard to prevent, but you never know. Like maybe if his knee wasn't hurting, maybe he gets a little bit higher. Maybe does some things different. A lot of times these players are playing through other injuries, and like the leading risk factor to an injury, already being injured and playing because your movements change, what you do on the floor changes. So obviously you can tell why LeBron would be mad about this. Somebody that spends $1 million and a half dollars on his body every year. Like you think somebody like that would know a lot about taking care of your body. So it's definitely frustrating because as an NBA fan myself, you want to see the best players play, and
right.
The fact that personally, I think that quick off season is what caused it. But I'm not the NBA, so they don't follow what Trey Kaufman says. They have some other bigger injuries.
They will.
Who else doesn't?
My man, I promise you, they will one day.
You know who else didn't really follow that line of thinking, and we talked about this a little bit with Kobe, but it was what Shaq said in relation to what LeBron was saying. How he doesn't care. He doesn't like that. That's being said that oh, you took within 71 days we had to come back and play. He's like, I would have played the bubble, and then I would have started the season the next day because they pay us to play this game, and that's what we're here for. Meanwhile, you've got people out in the regular world who are going to their jobs every day. They don't get a 71-day break. What do you think about the stuff that Shaq is saying and the people that think like Shaq?
Right. I mean, and this is where it goes into kind of the older generation of basketball and the newer generation of basketball and the different lines of thinking. I mean, we know that like experts say that like having progressively playing basketball and workload ratios and all of those things are what like prevent injuries and taking time off and doing certain things. So like and the 90s playing doing that would have been normal, but there was also like more injuries, right? I mean, Shaq, you have somebody like LeBron who's probably the most durable athlete ever, and then Shaq, somebody who if he was more durable, like, could have been the greatest ever. Like, it's just a different line of thinking, and like I said, it goes back to the older kind of younger ways of thinking. And it's like right now, if I'm an NBA like executive, I'm getting the best PTs and I'm trying to give my players as much rest as possible. Because like the healthy teams are the teams that are going to win this year. Like the best teams didn't win this year. You know what I mean? Like, I think we'd all agree that like Brooklyn or the Lakers or there's some other teams that were better that didn't win, but like being healthy was such a like, it doesn't matter how good you are if you're not on the floor. You know what I mean? So
right.
I think that's kind of my personal perspective on the matter. But
okay.
Well, I made a joke 2 days ago. Well, once Giannis got hurt, and I thought that he was going to be out for the year from how his knee bent. I personally thought he was out, so I was like, okay, Atlanta's going to make it, is what I thought. But now, as we're seeing, differently, he could possibly come back for the next game. But in the moment, I thought when he was out, I was like, okay, Atlanta moves on. It's going to be Suns versus Atlanta, and I made the joke of, can you imagine if somebody preseason looked at you and said, hey, it's not going to be Lakers Nets, it's going to be Suns, and it's going to be the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, can you imagine what your reaction would have been? You'd have looked at that person like they had three heads. I know I would have. What do you think about all this?
Right. I mean, it's the same thing. I think with I think the same thing happened with the NCAA tournament last year. I mean, you look at, there were so many teams who were rated lower, but I mean, just the bubble play and it being a different year. Like, when you look back at it, it's like, oh, like it makes sense now. And I think if we would have known like all these injuries were going to take place, like, oh, it makes sense now. You know what I mean? So I think Atlanta, I mean, I was reading somewhere that I think they hired this PT that was on the Golden State Warriors, and ever since she left, like, I think Steph's been hurt, Clay's been hurt, I think Durant got hurt. Like
Yeah.
all these different injuries, and obviously now Trey Young's hurt, so it hasn't been the best over there either. But at the same time, you see, and like I said, I have my personal opinions on the matter, but yeah, I mean, it would have been crazy, but I'm happy for people like Chris Paul, who's first final appearance, and it is kind of cool to see these new kind of superstars emerge, the next generation of basketball.
So I got
go ahead,
my
Coach.
last question for you, Trey, before Wyatt wraps up with you here. We're talking about the Atlanta Hawks, and we're talking about Trey Young, and we talk about Wyatt all the time with his hair. Now Trey Young has some hair where I believe, what is it, the Pampers baby or the Gerber baby that they're putting his face on now all over the place. Whose hair is more iconic, Trey Young's or Wyatt Williams?
Jeez.
Listen, Wyatt's one of a kind, okay? I mean, Trey Young's got his thing going, but Wyatt's one of a kind. So I'd have to give it to Wyatt, but anybody else, I mean, Trey definitely has a signature style of hair, and you can tell if the fans are chanting like you are balding when you're at the free throw line. You probably need to switch some things up. But again, that's my personal opinion. And
Who's less accepting of the fact that they're going? Who's less accepting of the fact that they're going bald? Is it Trey Young or LeBron?
Oh, I don't know, but at least Bron pays for some like experimental like spray paint or whatever he does to cover it up. Trey Young's not there yet, so.
Wow.
I love it.
He puts money back into it.
Yeah. Remember, it's $1.5 million that you have to take care of your body. So that's where half of it
90% of that, 90% of that $1.5 million goes to the hair, right?
Yes.
Hey, if Brian Urlacher could do it, anybody can.
That's true. That's true.
Oh.
So,
Guys are
Trey,
ridiculous.
you're coming back this weekend, right? And are you prepared to get beat in golf as bad as I'm going to beat you? Are you ready for this or no?
I am ready because you got to know your strengths and your weaknesses, Wyatt. And in basketball, it's a strength. Golf is not a strength, okay? And I would act like it is, but last time I played, I think what's it called? Double bogey pickup or something like that?
Double bogey
par pickup every single hole. So it's going to be a long day as far as time and the number of hits. So it's going to be rough.
That's all right, though, man. Like you said, your strengths. That's what matters. And, if I do beat you real bad on the golf course, we can just take it to the basketball court and you can reclaim your dominance,
Okay, so
Exactly. Exactly. It always comes back to basketball.
Okay, so let's just say you guys do the best 2 out of 3. Trey, you beat him in basketball. Wyatt, you beat him in golf. What is going to be the tiebreaker?
It certainly isn't going to be Madden. It's not going to be Madden because I'm telling you guys right now.
It does need to be Madden.
It can't be Madden because I'm telling you guys right now, Trey is an insane Madden player. It's 2K. That's a pretty even field.
But the last time that I won, who was I using as my point guard?
Steph.
Well, he was one of the guards. I did have Steph on my team. He was my 2. I was using Chris Paul as my point guard, though. So
oh, that's right. I'm
not going to say that I predicted him going to the finals, but I predicted him going to the finals.
Right.
Who do you have winning the finals, Trey?
Oh, I have the Suns.
Suns.
I have the Suns.
You have Suns in 4?
No, I don't have the Suns in 4. I really like Atlanta style of offense, modern. Everybody can shoot. They space the floor well. Like, they just have a lot of modern concepts that I like. At the same time, I think the Suns they have players that are healthier, and I think they honestly just have better players, to be honest with you. So
you're saying the Hawks beat the Bucks?
Ooh, I don't know about that either. Is that on right now? I think that's on right now.
Yeah, it's on right now.
It's on right now.
But I think either team that wins, I think the Suns win it all.
Trey, I hear all this talk between Wyatt and you about Madden, and I keep telling Wyatt that I'm a beast at Madden. He has yet, in the 6 months that I've known this kid, he has yet to accept a challenge at Madden because he knows I will wipe the. I am a beast at Madden. So if you want to hit me up, the name on PlayStation is Combsy3. We can play Madden anytime you want, and I'll teach you guys how to play.
It's like Combs. My ideal behind it is it's like fighting an old guy. Okay, if you win, you are an a-hole because you beat up an old guy, and if you lose, you got beat up by an old guy. So like, there's no real win, right? Like it's
double-edged sword. It's a lose-lose.
Exactly, it's a lose-lose situation.
So Wyatt, what you're saying is blah 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 blah. I'm scared. Blah 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 blah.
How did I know you were going to say blah, 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 and then I knew I'm scared was going to come? I knew in my head, I was like, he is going to say I'm scared. I know it. I know.
All righty. Trey, thank you for your time, man. We definitely like your insights, and hopefully you have a great season. And maybe you should start a like page on Facebook so you can, we can like it.
Yeah. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
Wyatt and I will create a joint Facebook account.
There you go.
If anybody wants to.
It'll be
Trey's
Wyatt
Trey's
Kaufman-Renn.
pulling in Wyatt's hair.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
I appreciate it, Trey. You have
Appreciate
a
it,
great night,
buddy. See you this
Thank you,
weekend,
Trey.
man.
Yep, you too, guys.